Hi everyone, Dave here, Fit and Healthy Forever. I was going to do a little demonstration today on exercise technique again. The last one on arms seemed to be received quite well, but what I was asked is to do a routine that you can do at home as well as in the gym, as well as showing the exercise technique. So today I was going to do shoulders, and what I'm going to show you is 4 compound movements, which probably you'd choose 1 or 2 at the most, and then I was going to show you a sort of isolation movement for each part of the shoulder. Now your shoulder comes in what they call three muscle heads. So you've got the rear, which is the posterior deltoid, you've got the side, which is the medial deltoid, and you've got the front, which is the anterior deltoid. So for simplicity we'll call them rear, front and side. They're 3 separate muscles, although you can't isolate each one 100%, you can emphasize one more than the other. So what I'm going to do is go through the 4 compound movements first that I would recommend, and most people should have access to these in the gym, and then we'll move on to the isolation movements and we'll go through the techniques for those. Okay, so the first one is a dumbbell shoulder press. Now be careful when you do the seated dumbbell shoulder press. You could do it standing. It's a bit more, I think, compact if you do it seated. Now don't bring the dumbbells right round to the side there. That puts your shoulder in a very delicate position. Your shoulder joint is a very delicate joint. So you need to come just forward slightly. So when you lift the dumbbells, you get them up to there and you turn them so that your little finger is slightly coming forward more. So from there you're pushing up, down. So it's the usual 1 to 2 seconds up, 3 to 4 seconds down, and you must control the weight always. So you're going like that. If you were to do it that way, right the way, and you're going to feel discomfort in your shoulder, so keep it just like that. So it's up, down. As I said before, it's always stretch and squeeze. So you're stretching down there, squeeze, stretch, squeeze. Okay, that's the first one. Now, if you've got access to one of these Smith machines in the gym, what you would do is set it up so that you're sitting almost upright, but not quite upright. Get your back comfortable, just about shoulder width or just past shoulder width grip. And then when you unhook, you're coming down to your upper arm is parallel to the floor roughly. You don't need to come all the way down here. Again, that puts your shoulder in a vulnerable position. So from about there and then up. So it's stretch, squeeze, and then it's 1 to 2 up, 3 to 4 down. Okay, 1 to 2 up, 3 to 4 down. What you may want to do with a Smith machine, there are these at the side. You'll always have a set part that you can put at a height there for safety. They're like a safety peg, so that if you were to drop the weight down, something would stop it. So all Smith machines should have these on, so you can set those. They've just got a plunger in and you set it to there. Some of them are a push-in peg, but if you want to feel safer doing it, make sure you put that peg in there so that when you lower down, if you get to there and you're really struggling to get it up, you could let it go and it would drop on the peg and it wouldn't hurt you. It's not going to fall on you. Okay, that's the first 2. So now I'm going to set up the next 2 and then I'll show you those 2. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the 3rd compound movement, which is a barbell shoulder press. Now you can do these seated or you can do them standing. You can use the variations as you see fit. So we're going to grab the bar again, roughly about shoulder width or just wider. We're going to lift the bar off the stands. Now you can either stand with one foot in front of the other to stabilise yourself, or you can stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. And from there, similar to the Smith machine movement, we're pushing up, down, up, down. So it's 1 to 2, 3 to 4. 1 to 2, 3 to 4. Okay, and it's stretch and squeeze as always. Now I'm going to show you the fourth one, which is a landmine movement. I'll explain landmine in a minute. I'll just set that up and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so this is the fourth compound movement. This is called a landmine movement. Now if you haven't heard of this, this is a landmine setup where you've got a fixed piece on the floor that your bar slides into. Now what you can do, if you were at home or even in a gym, you can put your towel in the corner of a wall on the floor and push the bar into it and then lift the bar, as I'm going to demonstrate in a minute, to do the exercise. These are called landmine exercises. So that's the landmine fixed bit into the floor. You don't have to have one of those, as I say, you can use a towel. So what we do then is we're going to pick this up, okay, and we're going to stand like that, stabilise yourself, and from there we're going to push up and then down. So it's 1 to 2, 3 to 4, okay, and it's squeeze, stretch. Now these are ideal for people who have shoulder injuries because your shoulders are to the front, you're not going out to the side with a dumbbell. So from here your shoulders are always coming forward. So it will work the whole of your shoulder area, but it is very, very good for people who have shoulder injuries. I've used this myself and I've had niggles in my shoulders, and it takes away the pain. It doesn't aggravate it at all. So use this if you do have shoulder injuries. You can still pile weight on this. I've had 70 to 80 kilos on this, so you can still do it. So you're pushing up, down, always under control, up, down. Now for anyone who was wondering about breathing when you're doing exercises, the basic rule of thumb is you breathe out when you're putting the most effort in. So on this one, for instance, it would be deep breath, okay, so always when you breathe out is when you put the most effort in. So if you, for instance, you were doing a bicep curl as we did before, when you're putting the effort in from there is when you would breathe out. So when you're lowering, you would breathe in, and it'd be. Now it doesn't have to be forceful, but you need to clear the air out your lungs when you're doing the heaviest or hardest part of the exercise. That's a basic rule of thumb with any exercise. Okay, that's the 4 compound movements. I would recommend that you choose one, or if you're a bit more advanced to intermediate to advanced, 2. Then I'm going to show you now what they call isolation movements. Okay? So now we're going to move on to the isolation movement. Now, as I said earlier, you can't 100% isolate a muscle, but you can emphasize it more. So if you've got the front, side and rear delts, the exercise I'm going to show you will emphasize that more, but you can't sort of 100% isolate that and not the other 2. So we emphasize it a bit more. So the first one I want to show you, the isolation movement, is a side dumbbell raise. Okay, so you're going from there, and then if you're doing 2 arms, you could do this 1 arm and you can do it seated also. But the basic movement is from there, you're going up and lower. You should be able to pause for a split second at the top and then lower. So it's 1 to 2 up, 3 to 4 down, with a slight half second to a second pause at the top. So again, you're stretching at the bottom and you're squeezing at the top. So you just want it to go so that your arms are parallel to the floor. Now make sure when you go up that you're keeping a slight bend in your elbow, very, very slight, because if it's straight out, all the pressure's going on the joint. So you need it to come in slightly, tiny little bend. That keeps the pressure on the muscle, not on the joint. Now also, when you're doing these, if you do them seated, try not to use jerky movements. The idea of doing them seated is to sit the back flat against the bench pad so that you can't move at all, and it isolates it even more. With this way you could jerk it up. Try not to. Okay, if you want a bigger stretch in the muscle, remember the stretch is down this part, you can actually come to the front there. That will stretch the muscle more. Squeeze. Stretch. Squeeze. Okay? Keep it that basic. Now when you do that works, the medial or side head of the shoulder, okay, or emphasises that more. That little cap you see on people's shoulders, this is one of the exercises that will help to get that. So the front one, if you're doing the front shoulder or the front deltoid, what you're doing is you're going from in front of your thighs there. Now you can do this one arm at a time or both at the same time, and what you're doing is you're coming up to there and lower. So it's 1 to 2, 3 to 4. And remember to breathe on the hardest part, so it's okay. And also with that one, if you're doing the two together, you don't need to be clanging the weights together like that. So you're coming up virtually straight to there. Pause for a split second and lower. Okay, that emphasises the front of the shoulder. So if you want the all-round cap, you need to work all three heads of the shoulder. Now to work the rear shoulder, what you're going to be doing, again you can do this seated or you can do it standing. Standing, you're going to bend over from the waist but keep your lower back tucked right in. So the natural S in the spine. So from there, you come into the front and you go out to the side like that. Out to the side. So it's hold it, lower. So it's 1 to 2, hold, 3 to 4. That's going to emphasise the back of the shoulder. You'll be surprised how much people don't work that part, and you find then that you'll struggle with the compound movements. This will help you to progress with your compound movements. Now when you're doing these, you won't need a lot of weight because they're isolation movements. Isolation movements are designed to do very strict technique with not a lot of weight. Weight is always relevant to your strength, but when you're starting, don't worry about using light weight, but be 100% honest with yourself. When you can progress that weight up on any exercise, you must do that. Sticking with the same weight over and over and over for weeks and months is not going to progress you at all because your body gets used to that. So you must progress the weight as you feel. Now sometimes that's difficult in gyms because they go up in 2.5s or 5s. You'll have to find ways around that. I bought lots of little half-kilo weights that I can just put a half kilo on. You'll need to work around that if you're in a gym. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you some exercises very similar to that or almost the same as that you could do at home without any exercise, without dumbbells or exercise equipment. Okay? So now I'm going to show you some exercises you can do at home without any equipment. What I've done is I bought just straightforward bottles of water. Okay, so if you take 2 bottles of water, 750 millilitres. Now I would think most people could use that as a weight. If you find that too much, tip half of it out and start where your level is. You're looking always, as I've said in the past, 8 to 12 reps. So if you can do 12, you need to increase the weight. If you can't do 12, you can do sort of 7, 8. You need to stay with that till you're getting 10 to 12. So always work in that 8 to 12 rep range. So same exercises as before, shoulder width apart, stand. Now the side lateral raise, 1 arm at a time or 2, use your bottles of water, come up, hold, down. So it's 1 to 2, 1, 3 to 4. 1 to 2, 1, 3 to 4. Same when you're doing the front. If you do them both at the same time this time, you start from there, you come up to just about parallel to the floor and lower. So it's 1 to 2, hold, 3 to 4. Don't forget you're breathing on the difficult part, which is there, okay, and then lower. The rear one, you're coming again, you must tuck your bum out, tuck your lower back in, and from there you're going out to the side, hold, lower. Always use strict control, like so. You must control the weight. Don't let the weight control you. Now, if you want to progress that, that's 750 millilitres. You can get either a litre or that's a litre and a half. So a litre and a half, you're coming from there, up, hold, lower. Up, hold, lower. If that's slightly too much, pour a bit of water out of it. Get the weight that's right for you to get your rep range of 8 to 12. As I say, once you get to the 12, you must increase the weight. And then what I've got there is 2 litre ones. Same again, you're going up, hold, down. Up, hold, down. When you go out to the front, you're going up, hold, down. Up, hold, down. And the rear delts, again, remember to tuck your lower back in from there, up, hold, down. So it's squeeze, stretch, and breathe as you're putting the most effort in. Now, you can use tins, bottle. I think bottles are easier because you can fill them up to a weight that you feel comfortable with. So if all you've got is tins, I'm sure you could get hold of 2 bottles, empty bottles, and use those and fill them up as you need. You've got to be perfectly honest with yourself. Don't keep plugging away doing 12 reps with the same weight week in, week out, because you're not going to see results. You've got to have the mindset to say, right, I can do 12 of that, I'm going to fill that up a bit more, I'm going to move up to the bigger size. And get bottles in, get tins in, get anything that you can get hold of that will use as a weight. You've got to be creative sometimes. If you can't get to a gym or you feel intimidated going to a gym, you've got to be creative and do it at home. There's no excuse for not doing it. You can do lots of things at home. These are basic things with a basic technique to get it correct for you and get you off and running. I've got lots more different ones you can do. Some of them you'd have to be a bit stronger, so you need to work your way up, and then maybe later on we can get something in place where we can progress you more with the exercises, not just the weight. So as always, thanks very much for listening. Like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. Especially I'd like a lot of more mature people, older people, to start exercising at home. I know they can be intimidated going to gyms. They can do these things at home. Stay fit and healthy forever. That's the theme. Make sure you tell all your friends. Listen in for the next video. Thanks again for listening.